this is Grandmaster Damian Lemos here for iChess.net. Welcome to my new video, Best Openings for Club Players. Since we say openings, we're going to be talking for white, from white's point of view. And when I try choosing an opening, I like to play solid things, and I try to give priority to knowing the ideas instead of memorizing moves. So my first choice, especially if you are a d4 player, is the London system. What I like about the London system is that you can play it against d5, or even if your opponent plays knight f6, you can also play bishop f4. This is a flexible move. Usually you know how you'll continue, where your pieces are going, and it really depends on how you understand that position. There's not much to memorize. Of course, if you know the ideas, that's better, but it is almost impossible to get a lost position if you play the right moves, compared to a Najdorf Sicilian or a Dragon, where memorizing sometimes is key. So here d4, d5, the London, it's been played by world #1 Magnus Carlsen. He plays the London a lot, especially for rapid games, but we also see him playing the London at standard games. Here, for instance, we'll see Carlsen against Positionally. This was played in a blitz tournament. e3. Here, black plays c5. He has other moves against the London, but usually knight c6, e6 and bishop d6 is the most popular reaction. c3. If you think about it, as white, we're playing a Slav defense with an extra tempi. Knight c6. White usually plays knight d2 first. This is because we are ready to face queen b6 with queen b3, and that's why knight d2 is much more accurate than knight f3. Knight d2, e6, knight to f3, bishop d6. So far, logical moves by both sides. I like this bishop g3. Now, if he takes, we can happily take with the h-pawn. This file is open, and we haven't castled yet. So that means we'll have some kingside possibilities. Also, if he trades, we have the best bishop. Bishop f1 is much better than bishop c8. So this trade is clearly favoring us. So bishop g3. Usually black castles, and in this game Magnus plays the new approach, bishop b5. The most known move in this position is bishop d3. Simple moves, we are trying to castle, and sometimes we can try knight e5 followed by f4. See, this is why I like the London. We have a lot of ideas, and it is too simple. If he plays something like queen c7, he's already hanging a pawn, as you can see. He's trying to play e5 to free his position, but if he plays something like queen e7, here we already have a nice trap. We can play knight e5. We delay this move a bit. It is better to play knight e5, stopping this advance. And if he plays knight d7, which is the most natural move in the world, here we have a trick already. Knight takes e7, he'll take bishop takes, now bishop takes e6, queen takes. If you haven't seen this position before, you probably think white is making a mistake because he's trading too many pieces, But here we have the trick. D takes c5, queen takes c5, and bishop takes h7. Amazing move. This is a forced variation. He has to take queen h5, the king goes back to c8, and knight to e4. The sequence we just saw is forced, and there's nothing black can do to stop it. And here, no matter what he plays, he's in a tough position. For instance, there's a game where black played c6, but here knight takes queen, she takes h5, knight takes d7. Once he moves the rook, then we play knight f6 and knight takes h5. 2 extra pawns, no queens on board. That means no counterplay for black. This is absolutely lost. And, well, maybe instead of c6 he can play something else, maybe queen c4. But here knight c5, and if he wants to stop the mate, he has to sacrifice the f7 pawn. King h8, queen h5, king here. And there's a game which was a nice one between Kamsky and Englund in 2014, where Kamsky, instead of repeating moves with queen f7, he played rook d1 and eventually won. The thing is, we can always draw the game with queen h5, but we can go for more than that. I mean, at some point we can try bringing the rook to the h file. Even h4, h5 is a good idea. So this is a clear or even a winning advantage for white. So the London is quiet, but it has some poison too, as you can see. This knight e5, knight d7, you can find hundreds of games where black fell in this trap. Magnus, in this game against Bosiosic, he played bishop b5, knight to e7, and now bishop d3. It's like white achieved something by playing bishop b5 and then bishop d3. This knight is far away from the center, and now we are ready to play e4. And this is what happened in the game. D takes, knight takes, and after the trades, it looks like black is about to equalize. Unfortunately for him, D takes c5, and he's having some issues, some tactical issues in the center and the queen side. Here bishop takes, c3 is the only move, pawn takes, and this is the variation black missed in the game, I guess. h7 is hanging, so even if he trades, rook takes, and he's lost, because this pawn is also advancing. So pawn takes, he plays f5, queen takes e8, rook takes, and now instead of moving this bishop, which allows b takes e5 and black is just fine, Magnus played c6. Amazing move. If this, we play c7 and white is just winning. And if knight d5, we take, rook takes. After we trade a couple of pieces off, we can even establish a knight on e5, we play f4, and we are absolutely winning. So the London is a very good choice. As I said, you can play it against d5, even if he plays knight f6 and he goes for a King's Indian or Grunfeld setup. You basically know where your pieces are going, and then you have to understand that position and understand the plans behind the London. We have a course on the London, you can check it on the iChess site. It is called Deep Dive London System. And now let's move to another good opening for a club player. And the opening or the system I want to recommend now is the King's Indian attack. And when you think about the king's Indian attack, you think about e4, placing a pawn on d3, knight d2, doing the fianchetto on the king side with c3, bishop c2, knight f3. And we can play it in so many ways. We can start with the reti with knight f3. Let's say we play something like this, and then we play d3, knight d2, and we try playing e4. But you can also play it if you are an e4 player. If he plays da Sicilian, we play d3, and we go for the king's Indian attack. If he plays a Pirc or a modern defense, you can also play it. If he plays the French, you can play d3 and knight d2. Against the Caro-Kann, you can do it as well. The only real move where the king's Indian attack is not that popular is against e5. Against e5, knight f3, knight c6, for instance, everybody plays bishop b5 or bishop c4, even the Scotch with d4. You'll see this move rarely. And I would still give it a try. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this. You know where your pieces are going, and then you play according to your middle game strategy and plans. So, let's see a game e6. This is Botava against Stosek. And I like this game because we have some middle game action. Knight f6, knight to f3, c5, c3, knight c6. Standard moves so far. This line has thousands of games. It's been played since years and years ago. So Rook E1. This move is key because we prepare a kingside attack. We want to play e5, and this pawn is already protected. So Queen c7, and then we go for the e5 advance. We place the pawn on the 5th rank, removing his defender from the king side. Now we play Queen e2, protecting e5, and then the plan is simple. Knight f1, bishop f4, h4, and we are ready to fire on the king side. Of course, black is going to do the same thing on the queen side because he has the advantage there. But I'm happy because on the king side I have a clear target, which is his king. He might be successful on the queen side, he might even win my rook on a1, but I won't be mated. Maybe he will get mated on the king side. So knight f1. Here we have a lot of moves. Black plays bishop a6. It is tough to decide because maybe a5 looks useless. Bishop a6 looks like a quicker approach. He has a clear plan, opening the queen side as soon as possible, because otherwise our pieces are arriving too soon on the king side. We can play something like h4, knight h2, knight c4. We are pretty close to destroying his castle. So bishop a6, h4, useful move. He plays rook fc8, giving his king some extra space in case he has to escape. Also knight f8 is available now. The knight there defends the king side. Bishop f4. That diagonal might be key for some tactics. Here, if I were black, I would consider a move like queen b6 maybe, getting out of this diagonal. But he plays knight d4, knight takes, pawn takes, and here, without thinking much, we would say rook c1, having everything under control, and then we continue with our kingside ideas, maybe bringing the knight to c4, even h5, h6, queen c4. We have a lot of good ideas. Also this trying to grab the d4 pawn, why not, or go into g5. So rook ac1 is good enough to make sure we have a good middle game. However, white strikes in the center with bishop takes d5, and as you can see, black is already in trouble. This is one of the things I like about the King's Indian attack, is that we have clear attacking chances on the king side, but we also have these kind of tricks, and maybe black is not aware of these possibilities, and this is what happened in this game. And black player was a good one. He was 24-65. I mean, everybody can fall for this kind of tricks. Bishop takes d5. The game went bishop b7, and black simply played the game down a pawn, so white has a clear advantage. But if he took on d5, he would have seen this move, e6, powerful move, also attacking the queen. Bishop d6. We can take, queen takes. And the thing is, in this position, those pawns d5 and d4 are too weak. His bishop on a6 is clearly out of the game, and white simply has an edge. If we trade pieces and we play an endgame, that d4 pawn especially is a clear target. So King's Indian, a very good approach. Of course, you have to analyze other possibilities. Black can also play in a Sicilian fashion, for instance, something like this, but we also have other chances. Apart from knight gf3, we can consider playing in a Grand Prix attack with f4. We have ideas related to c3, a3, b4. We have a lot of ways of playing this, and the best you can do is analyze a lot of games played by strong players, and instead of memorizing, you can just understand or try to understand what they are doing. And if you play like this, I mean, it doesn't matter if your opponent prepares for the game, because you'll know your ideas pretty well. So this is the King's Indian attack, and the other opening I chose. Let me go to the next game. Okay, so the next opening we have for club players is the call system. We reach the call after d4, d5, knight f3, knight f6. Here, instead of playing the queen's gambit with c4, we'll just play the simple e3. This looks harmless, but if you think about it, we are playing, or we are trying to play a queen's gambit declined with an extra tempi for white. It was played by Kramnik this year against Giri at Norway Chess. It was played by Magnus against Karjakin in the World Chess Cup. And white's idea is simple. We want to play with e3, bishop d3, and regarding this bishop, which is clearly inside the pawn chain, we want to play with b3 and bishop b2. Eventually we'll decide whether to play c4 or not. And this is a great weapon, trying to fight and replace the queen's gambit with c4. It is a flexible weapon. We can play this, and let's take a look how this works. I mean, the best way to understand the ideas of this opening is to see games. So first we'll see Kramnik against Giri. He started with knight f3, but we soon have a call with d5, d4, knight f6, e3. Now we have the call system. Black plays with e6, bishop to d3. Note that we don't play c4, we don't play a quick c4, we delay this move. c5 is what Kramnik, I mean Giri played, and Kramnik castles. Okay, so far nothing special. If he plays something like bishop e7 or knight c6, we'll be ready to play b3 and bishop b2. But Giri here, he plays c4, which is a weird move, to be honest. We have to play bishop e2, of course, and it looks like black has more space on the queen side. Well, in fact, he does. But now there's no tension in the center anymore. That means we'll have a green light to attack in the center, and we can even consider attacking on the queen side because we have a stronger development. In fact, this is what happened in the game. b5, Kramnik played b3, bishop b7, and here we can already consider playing a4, and we open the queen side successfully. Kramnik played knight c3, and he's advancing his pawns too much, but we know pawns can't go back. Now we have holes or future positional targets for a middle game. This is what black played, and knight e5. We'll see the game because it is real quick. a3, a5, and bishop b5. After a couple of simple moves, white managed to stop black from castling, and that is a lot already. If he has to play with the king in the center, I mean, in the long run, it's a bad thing. Knight c5, queen b6, well, maybe bishop c8, but that move is definitely too passive. And now, after bishop c8, I realize a takes b4 is winning, so queen b6, Kramnik took, queen takes, and queen e2. So here we have the bishop pair, bad king for black, and white. If he opens that position, he'll be just winning because these two factors, bishop pair plus his weak king, is already enough. Clearly in this game, Giri, who's a world-class player, he just had a bad game because of his opening choice. Here there's nothing he can do to improve his position. He just had a bad game, everyone does. c6, trying to fix his king's position, but e4, amazing stuff. Now we play bishop h6, we make sure we open that position, and even the e-file is now in play. He plays knight d2, rook e1, and at some point we'll sacrifice on f7. He plays king d8, and after bishop f4, black resigns. It looks like a bit too soon to resign, but he's defenseless against all the threats we have, including knight takes, f7, 8 takes b4, even bishop takes e2 at some point, although this knight is not doing much, so there's no sense in taking it. So this game, which was played by two top grandmasters, is surprising and deserves attention, and that is why I believe in the call system. Let's see another example. Here, for instance, there is a game against c5. Okay, we castle. Let us say he plays, instead of c4, he plays the natural knight c6. Here we have a good game between Rubinstein and Kostic, where white played the simple b3. We are ready to play bishop b2, and we are not worried about this move, because we can play the simple bishop e2, and then we push the knight back with a3. He'll lose a tempi at the end. So he plays bishop d6 himself, bishop d2, bishop b2 I mean, castles, and knight bd2. Maybe a move like a3 deserves attention as well, but I'm not worried about knight b4 yet. So knight bd2. Here we understand why this system is so powerful. After knight bd2 we have a lot of possibilities. Suppose he plays a nonsense move like rook b8. First we can consider c4. We can consider taking on c5 and then play something like e4. We can also consider knight e5. This reminds me of the London a bit. Knight e5 followed by f4, and then all our pieces are well placed to fire a kingside attack, so this is really nice. I mean, we have a lot of ideas. We can also play a3, trying to play d takes c5 plus b4 and c4. This is of course an example, but this proves the amount of good ideas we have in the call system. So knight bd2, in the game black decided to play queen e7, and white, who has a lot of plans to choose, he chose c4 and rook e1. Now he has the queen on e7, e4 is arriving anytime soon, bishop b7, e4, takes, knight takes, c takes, and knight takes e4. That position is opening a lot, and all bishops, and I mean every single bishop, looks too active. Here we have to be extremely careful. The same goes for black, because we have these two diagonals, and the e-file is a victory for us. I mean, here we have a lot of tricks. He plays knight takes d4. We can consider bishop takes d4 here, but it is much better if we take his bishop on d6. At the end of the day, we'll have the bishop pair. We know queen takes d4 loses to bishop takes h7. So here, if we can play this position with these two guys and bishop e7 missing, I take it. Rook fd8 is what black plays. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and queen c4 check. Black looks okay. I don't like playing with this weak pawn structure, but he looks in a reasonable position if he manages to play rook c8. But here comes the surprising bishop takes h7. Not only destroying his kingside, but we also stop rook c8. We know that if he takes, we have rook e3, and we mate him next. There's no queen d1 because we have rook a1 and queen c4 guarding that square. So in this game, black decided to play f5, queen h5. The rest is simple. He was not able to win a piece, so now we just won a free pawn and his king is weak. Game went queen f4, here rook c8, king e7, and the simple rook c7. Rook f8, and just when it looks like black is almost defending, bishop to c8. Amazing stuff. And then we eventually take the f7 pawn. Queen e4. Last try. We still have the rook on c7, so queen e4 doesn't represent a threat. And instead of taking on f7, white plays the crushing rook d1. Now there's no way to stop rook takes f7 and mate. So another great game. It was also an attacking game. Usually in call we have positional stuff, a lot of plans, but as you can see, same as London, it is a positional opening, but if black makes mistakes, we have variations like the bishop takes h7 and knight to e4. So this was the three best openings for club players. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you could learn something. And I also want to see you guys in my next videos. Thank you.